I am happy you are here today. Find a quiet place, take a slow breath, and imagine a white hill in winter. The snow is soft. The air is cold. A child is standing at the top of the hill. But this child does not have skis. This child does not have a sled. This child has something strange under the feet. It looks like a small board. It slides on the snow. It turns. It jumps. It feels like surfing on a frozen wave. Today, we are going to hear the real story of snowboarding. A story that began with children, snow, and one simple idea. Before snowboarding became famous, people already loved sliding on snow. For hundreds of years, people used skis to travel in cold places. They used sleds to carry wood, food, and children. Snow was not only beautiful. Snow was also part of daily life. But snowboarding was different. It was not made first for work. It was made for play. It was made for the feeling of freedom. One board, one hill, one brave heart. That was enough. Our story begins in the United States, in a cold city called Muskegon, Michigan. It was the winter of 1965. Snow covered the ground. The streets were quiet. Families stayed inside warm houses. In one house there lived a man named Sherman Poppin. He was an engineer. This means he liked to build things. He liked to solve problems. But one day, his problem was simple. His children wanted to play outside. Sherman had a daughter named Wendy. She wanted something fun to do in the snow. Sherman looked around his home. He saw 2 small skis. Then he had an idea. What if he put the 2 skis together? What if they became one wide board? Maybe a child could stand on it. Maybe the child could slide down the hill. It was not a big plan. It was not a business plan. It was just a father trying to make something fun for his child. Sherman fixed the 2 skis together. Then he added a rope at the front. The rope helped the rider keep balance. The child could hold the rope and stand on the board. It was simple. It was rough. It was not perfect. But when the children tried it, something wonderful happened. They laughed. They fell. They stood up again. They slid down the snow again and again. The board worked. It really worked. Sherman's wife, Nancy, saw the board too. She thought it looked like surfing on snow, so she helped give it a name. Snow plus surfer became Snurfer. It was a funny name. It was easy to remember. And soon the small board had a small name with a big future. The Snurfer was born. At first, the Snurfer was only a toy. Children loved it. Friends wanted to try it. Neighbors wanted to see it. The board was strange, but it was exciting. It did not feel like skiing. It did not feel like sledding. It felt new. The rider stood sideways, like a surfer or a skateboarder. The body turned across the hill. The snow moved under the board. For many children, it felt like magic. Sherman saw that people liked his idea, so he worked with a company to make more Snurfers. Soon, stores began to sell them. Families bought them for children. The Snurfer became popular in the late 1960s and the 1970s. It was not yet called a snowboard. It was still a toy for the backyard. But many important stories begin like that. Not with a king, not with a big company, but with a simple thing that makes people smile. The Snurfer had no metal edges at first. It had no strong bindings for the feet. Bindings are parts that hold your feet on the board. The Snurfer had only a rope, so riding it was not easy. You had to balance well. You had to be brave. You had to fall many times. But for young riders, falling was part of the fun. They learned with their bodies. They learned with snow on their jackets and smiles on their faces. Then came the next part of the story. Some people looked at the snurfer and thought, this can be more than a toy. They saw a sport hiding inside it. They saw a future. They wanted to make the board better. They wanted to turn more easily. They wanted to ride faster. They wanted to jump higher. And this is where snowboarding began to grow. One of these people was Jake Burton Carpenter. Many people call him Jake Burton. As a boy, he rode the snurfer. He loved the feeling, but he also saw the problems. The board was hard to control. The rider's feet could slip. It was fun, yes, but it could be much better. Jake kept thinking about it. He did not want to leave the idea alone. In the 1970s, Jake moved to Vermont. Vermont is a cold and snowy state in America. It has mountains and ski areas. Jake started making boards by hand. He worked in a barn. He tested ideas. He made mistakes. He changed shapes. He added better parts. He tried to make a board that could really turn on snow. He was not rich. He was not famous, but he believed in the board. In 1977, Jake started Burton Snowboards. At first, it was a very small company. He did not have many workers. He did not have big machines. He had ideas, tools, and strong hope. He made boards and tried to sell them, but it was not easy. Many shops did not understand snowboarding. Ski shops said no. Surf shops said no. Some people laughed at the idea. They thought it was only a children's toy. But Jake did not stop. He knew the feeling was special. He knew that one day more people would understand. He improved his boards again and again. He added foot straps so riders could stay on the board better. He made the boards stronger. He made them easier to control. Slowly, the toy became a real piece of sports equipment. The snurfer was becoming a snowboard. At the same time, another creative person was working on the same dream. His name was Tom Sims. Tom loved skateboarding. He loved surfing. He also loved snow. When he was young, he tried to make a board for snow too. He wanted to bring the feeling of skateboarding and surfing to the mountain. Tom started building and selling boards. His boards had their own style. They helped shape the culture of snowboarding. This is important to understand. Snowboarding did not come from only one person. Sherman Poppin gave the world the snurfer. Jake Burton made boards that helped the sport grow. Tom Sims brought ideas from skateboarding and surfing. Other people also helped. Builders, riders, shop owners, and young dreamers all added something. Snowboarding grew because many people loved the same feeling. But the beginning was difficult. In many ski areas, snowboarders were not welcome. Some ski resorts did not allow them on the lifts. Skiers looked at them and felt unsure. The snowboarders looked different. They moved differently. Their clothes were different. Their culture was younger and louder. Some people thought snowboarders were dangerous. Some thought they would damage the snow. Some simply did not like change. So snowboarders had to fight, but not with weapons. They fought with patience. They fought by showing skill. They learned to ride better. They showed that they could control their boards. They showed that they loved the mountains too. They wanted the same snow, the same fresh air, the same joy. Slowly, some ski areas opened their doors. Then more ski areas followed. Imagine being one of those early snowboarders. You arrive at a mountain with your board under your arm. People stare at you. Some smile. Some do not. You feel nervous, but you also feel proud. You ride the lift. You stand at the top. The mountain is wide and white in front of you. Then you push forward. The board starts to slide. The cold air touches your face. And in that moment, you know something simple. This sport is alive. In the 1980s, snowboarding grew faster. More companies made boards. The boards became better. They had metal edges, like skis. They had stronger bindings. They had better shapes. Riders could carve turns. Carving means cutting clean lines in the snow. They could ride powder, soft, deep snow. They could jump and spin. Snowboarding was becoming more than a new way to go downhill. It was becoming a new way to express yourself. Competitions began too. Riders came together to race. Some raced down the mountain. Some jumped in special places. Some rode in a half-pipe. A half-pipe is like a big snow tunnel cut in half. The rider goes up one wall, flies into the air, lands, and rides up the other wall. It is beautiful to watch. It is also very difficult. The rider needs balance, courage, and timing. The half-pipe showed something special about snowboarding. It was not only about speed, it was also about style. A skier could go fast. A snowboarder could go fast too. But snowboarders also wanted to move like dancers in the air. They wanted every turn to have feeling, every jump to have personality, every ride to say something about the rider. This made snowboarding feel young and creative. Many snowboarders came from skateboarding and surfing. They brought their music, clothes, and language with them. They liked freedom. They liked trying new tricks. They liked doing things in their own way. This made snowboarding exciting, but it also made some older sports leaders uncomfortable. They did not know what to do with this new sport. Was it serious? Was it only fun? Could it become professional? The answer would come soon. By the late 1980s and early 1990s, snowboarding was everywhere in winter sports culture. More mountains allowed snowboarders. More young people wanted boards. Magazines showed photos of riders flying through the air. Videos showed deep snow, big jumps, and brave turns. Snowboarding had its own heroes now. It had its own style. It had its own voice. But there were still problems. Some people still did not respect snowboarders. Some ski areas were slow to accept them. Some parents did not understand why their children wanted a snowboard instead of skis. But the sport kept growing. It was too fun to stop. Every winter, more people tried it. Every winter, more people fell in love with it. Then came a huge moment. In 1998, snowboarding entered the Winter Olympics in Nagano, Japan. This was a big step. The Olympics are watched all over the world. Sports in the Olympics become part of history. Snowboarding was no longer just a backyard toy. It was no longer just a mountain hobby. It was now on one of the biggest stages in the world. Think about that journey for a moment. In 1965, a father tied two skis together for his children. A few decades later, athletes from many countries were riding snowboards at the Olympic Games. This is the kind of change that feels almost impossible. But it happened because people kept playing, kept building, kept falling, kept trying again. The first Olympic snowboard events included giant slalom and halfpipe. Giant slalom is a race with turns around gates. Halfpipe is about tricks, height, and style. These two events showed the two sides of snowboarding. One side was speed and control. The other side was creativity and flight. Together, they told the world that snowboarding was a real sport. After the Olympics, snowboarding became even more popular. More children wanted to learn. More adults wanted to try. Resorts built better parks and halfpipes. Companies made safer and lighter boards. Teachers learned how to teach beginners. Snowboarding became easier to start, but it still kept its feeling of freedom. Today, snowboarding is a global sport. People ride in America, Canada, Japan, Europe, Australia, and many other places. Some ride in high mountains. Some ride in small local hills. Some ride to compete. Some ride only for peace. Some love speed. Some love soft powder. Some love simple turns on a quiet morning. Snowboarding has many faces now, but the heart of snowboarding is still simple. A person stands sideways on one board. The snow is under them. The mountain is in front of them. The body moves with balance. The board answers. The rider feels fear at first. Then the rider feels control. Then, maybe, the rider feels joy. This joy is the same joy that Sherman Poppins' children felt on that first snurfer. There is something beautiful about the origin of snowboarding. It shows us that play can become history. A toy can become a sport. A small idea can travel around the world. Sherman did not know he was starting a movement. His children did not know they were part of a new story. They only knew that sliding down the hill felt wonderful. It also shows us that new ideas often look strange at first. People may laugh. People may say no. People may not understand. But if the idea brings real joy, it can survive. Snowboarding survived because riders loved it deeply. They loved it enough to build better boards. They loved it enough to ask resorts for a chance. They loved it enough to fall many times and stand up again. And maybe this is why snowboarding is such a good story for English learners too. Learning English is a little like learning to snowboard. At first, you feel unsure. You may fall. You may forget words. You may make mistakes. But mistakes are not the end. They are part of the ride. Each time you try again, you become stronger. Each time you listen, speak, or read, you move a little better. The first snowboarders did not become good in one day. They practiced. They laughed. They failed. They changed their boards. They changed their ideas. They tried again. This is how every skill grows. Slowly, kindly, step by step, turn by turn, word by word. So the next time you see a snowboarder on a mountain, remember the beginning. Remember a snowy yard in Michigan. Remember 2 small skis tied together. Remember a father, a daughter, and a simple winter day. Remember the snurfer. Remember Jake in his Vermont barn. Remember Tom with his skateboard dreams. Remember all the riders who believed that snow could feel like a wave. Snowboarding began as play. Then it became a passion. Then it became a sport. Then it became part of the Olympics. But deep inside, it is still about one clear feeling. The feeling of moving freely over snow. The feeling of wind on your face. The feeling of trying something new. The feeling of joy after fear. Thank you for listening, my friends. I hope this story gave you a warm and peaceful moment. I hope it helped you learn English in an easy and gentle way. You are doing very well. Every story you hear helps your English grow. Please tell me what real story you would like to hear next. And if you enjoyed this story, please like, comment, and subscribe. Your support helps us make more calm English stories for learners like you. Keep learning, keep listening, and keep moving forward, one small turn at a time.